A major update on the nature of Kenny Omega's illness and how long he could possibly be out of action for. Of course, Omega said he was going to be out of action indefinitely, but he could now require potential surgery. A new title is being introduced to Ring of Honor by owner Tony Khan. We'll let you know about that. Thunder Rosa officially makes her return to in-ring competition next week as she gets physical last night on AEW Collision. We got the latest results from the Continental Classic last night on Collision. Adam Copeland has put out a challenge to Christian Cage in a no disqualification match for AEW World's End. CJ Perry reveals the gruesome reason why she was forced to miss a couple of shows recently. The House of Black makes things personal with FTR. The newest gimmick when it comes to the bloodline in WWE is seemingly being confirmed via a trademark filing, and several matches have been announced for next week's episode of Dynamite and Collision. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Kenny Omega and a new update on just how serious his current illness is and was, and how he was potentially days away from something catastrophic happening. Now, the nature of Kenny Omega's illness has now been revealed following the star announcing his indefinite AEW hiatus. Omega took to social media on Friday to share a photo of himself in a hospital bed. In the post caption, Omega stated that he'd be out of action indefinitely. Tony Khan, the AEW president, owner, and CEO, addressed Omega's announcement in the Ring of Honor Final Battle media scrum, wishing Omega well and stating that nobody knew how much pain he was actually in. Dave Meltzer has now provided more details on Omega's condition, confirming that Omega indeed, as had been previously reported by the likes of Sean Ross Sapp and others, has diverticulitis, noting that he recently spoke with Kenny Omega, who initially thought he had just had another hernia. Of course, that was an injury that Omega had previously. Meltzer noted the following on Wrestling Observer Radio. He said, quote, "It's diverticulitis. I did not hear if he has had surgery yet, but he was rushed to the hospital on Friday, that being December 15. He had been in a lot of pain, and he thought what happened was he had the hernia, which was really, really bad, which caused him to have that long period off, and he had been hurting really, really bad and presumed it was a hernia. He had bloating and thought he had messed up on his diet somehow. He kept training on it, working on it, did the match with Ethan Page. He was hurting really bad on Wednesday when he did the promo with Jericho. By that point, it was really bad. So he went to the hospital and found out that he had diverticulitis. It was a really bad situation in the sense that if he had not gone for another day or so, it could have been horrendous." Finally, Meltzer said, "I heard from him, and he just kind of said that he had been in pain, had trouble sleeping, but he just thought it was a hernia acting up again. Once he found out it wasn't, he said there could have been really, really bad complications. It was a very, very serious situation by the time he got to the hospital." So thankfully, it looks like Kenny Omega is going to be okay, but certainly it could have been much, much worse. Now, diverticulitis is an inflammation caused by pouches or bulges called diverticular, forming in the walls of the large intestine / colon. Common symptoms include severe abdominal pain, nausea, and high temperatures. Wrestling MMA fans may remember that Brock Lesnar struggled with diverticulitis while with the UFC, with the Beast notably referencing his diverticulitis when retiring from MMA in 2011 ahead of his WWE return. Now, of course, if we get any more information on Kenny Omega's status or anything like that, we'll let you know, but hopefully he can have a quick, fast, and full recovery. Thoughts with him at this time. Now, let's talk about more titles being introduced to the AEW / Ring of Honor world. The Ring of Honor Women's Television title reportedly is coming soon. During the ROH TV taping on December 16, Tony Khan unveiled an Ring of Honor Women's TV title. Now, the segment should air on the December 21st episode of ROH on Honor Club. It's unknown how the inaugural champion will be crowned or anything like that. If we get any more details on that, of course, we'll let you know. Athena is the current ROH Women's Champion. She successfully defended the title against Billy Starks at ROH Final Battle. A new men's ROH TV champion was crowned at Final Battle as well, with Kyle Fletcher winning a Survival of the Fittest bout. What are your thoughts on the introduction of this championship? Is this just more titles being introduced to the world of AEW and Ring of Honor, which is unnecessary because they have too many bouts? Or is this a welcome addition to Ring of Honor, which does have quite a stacked women's division? Let me know your thoughts about that as well. Now, Thunder Rosa is back and getting physical for the first time in quite some time. Thunder Rosa has made her return to AEW television. After Abaddon defeated Jasmine Allure on Saturday's show, Julia Hart appeared. Abaddon attacked Hart and grabbed the TBS title, but was attacked by Sky Blue as she made her way to the ring. Thunder Rosa, who was shown earlier on in the night doing Spanish commentary, left her position and made the save, standing with Abaddon and shaking their hand as the segment ended. It was later announced that she would be making her in-ring return on next week's episode of Collision, where she will team with Abaddon to take on Sky Blue and Julia Hart. Now, of course, Thunder Rosa has been out of action since August of 2022, vacating the AEW Women's World Championship due to a back injury. Toni Storm and Jamie Hayter went on to win the championship in the next 3 months, with AEW eventually announcing last November that Rosa was no longer recognized as the women's champion, and both Storm and Hayter's runs with the title would retroactively be considered lineal title victories. Earlier this month, Rosa told News 4 in San Antonio, Texas, that she was ready to return to the ring. She said, quote, "I am ready whenever I get that call and, my boss says it's time for you to return." She said, "I'm super excited and I cannot wait to show the world and all you fans who have been supporting me all this time that I'm ready and I have a lot more to give." So she's going to be back in action next week on AEW Collision. Now, we got the latest results from the AEW Continental Classic. Last night's episode saw several matches taking place, 3 matches to be specific, in the Blue League in the side of the tournaments. Now, in the opening bout, it was quite interesting because Claudio Castagnoli did something that nobody's been able to do, and that's defeat Andrade Al Idolo. Now, of course, with Andrade's victory last week over Bryan Danielson fresh on the minds of both, Andrade entered the bout as the Blue League tournament leader, while Castagnoli was in a must-win situation. Near the end, Castagnoli hit a superplex for a near fall. However, the finish came when Castagnoli connected with a low blow and then a pile driver to secure the victory and 3 points. Now, the next match of the evening saw Eddie Kingston pick up a much-needed victory as well. He squared off against Daniel Garcia in the second tournament bout, in which if either man would lose, they'd be mathematically eliminated from the Continental Classic. Kingston appeared to have totally overwhelmed Garcia at one point, but Garcia suddenly had a surge of energy. Garcia then started dancing and fought back hard. Later, Kingston seemed to injure his knee, but he still managed to hit a spinning backfist, the Hurricane, to win the bout and remain in the tournament for now. In the main event, we saw Bryan Danielson face off against Brody King in their first ever bout against each other. The duo went into the bout tied with 6 points each, just as last week Danielson's opponent frequently attacked his eye, and it wasn't long before he started bleeding around his eye once again. However, it wasn't enough to stop Danielson from hitting King in the back of the head with a running knee to clinch the victory and gain all 3 points. After last night's bouts, Bryan Danielson and Andrade Al Idolo are now tied with 9 points each for first place in the Blue League. Brody King, Claudio Castagnoli, and Eddie Kingston are also tied with 6 points each. Daniel Garcia has yet to gain any points from the tournament and, of course, is eliminated. So where do you think this one is going when it comes to the Blue League, with several people still within touching distance of each other? Now, we got a big update when it comes to Adam Copeland and Christian Cage's rivalry last night on AEW Collision, because Adam Copeland isn't done with his former best friend. On Saturday's Collision, Copeland said he has no excuses for losing his match to Christian Cage on Dynamite, saying he should have been prepared for every possible situation. He said that he realizes he misses carrying gold and wants to add to his championship pedigree. He challenged Cage to a no disqualification match at AEW World's End on December 30, promising to become the new TNT champion. The two previously met on the December 6th edition of AEW Dynamite in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. The finish of the match had Shayna Wayne, Nick Wayne's mother, attack Copeland with the TNT championship, allowing Cage to cover him for the win. Copeland had given Nick Wayne a concerto in front of his mother on the November 22nd edition of Dynamite. Copeland's newfound rivalry with Cage dates back to when Cage rejected Copeland's offer to reunite their tag team, telling Copeland to go F himself. This led to Copeland eventually agreeing to team with Darby Allin and Sting at Full Gear last month, defeating Cage, Wayne, and the former Luchasaurus, now named Killswitch. Now, it's not been confirmed whether the match has been accepted, but it looks like that match is going to be taking place at AEW World's End later this month. Now, CJ Perry was not on the show last night, and we now know why, and it's actually quite gruesome, so if you get kind of a bit of a queasy stomach with these things, feel free to skip ahead. But you can see right there, she has a nasty infection is what she's calling it. Now, AEW star CJ Perry has missed 2 shows due to a scary infection, as the star shared some gruesome emergency room photos. Notably absent from last night's Collision, CJ Perry, who has been serving as the manager for Andrade Al Idolo throughout the Continental Classic. Now, fans may have noticed that Perry didn't appear alongside Andrade at his CML out appearance on December 15, and now the reason has been revealed. Perry shared the events on her social media, writing alongside a very scary looking photo of a finger, #CMLL, please keep me in your prayers. I'm at the ER. The infection from my small finger has gone up my arm. I'm so sorry I had to miss last night and an AEW tonight. I look forward to debuting in Mexico with Andrade. Good luck, Miro, and my client Andrade on AEW Collision and the AEW Continental Classic. Of course, we wish her the best in her recovery. Hopefully it's not too serious and she can get back to being on television very, very soon. Now, the House of Black turned the rivalry of FTR pretty personal last night. Now, in an in-ring segment, FTR appeared to address the House of Black on the microphone. Cash Wheeler told Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black that they were jealous of not only FTR's but also Brody King's in the Continental Classic and Julia Hart's success with the TBS Championship, challenging them to actually approach the ring and meet up with FTR face-to-face. Their microphones cut off before the arena lights did as the House of Black appeared on the screen, with Buddy Matthews reminding the pair that they don't have anyone to save them. Malachi Black went on to actively try and recruit the tag team to the House of Black. However, using some dubious tactics, Black noting that while their feud wasn't personal, if he wanted to make it personal, he would take out a family photo of Dax Harwood and destroy it. Spoiler, they went on to exactly do just that. They went on to reveal a picture of Dax Harwood with his lovely wife and daughter, and then Buddy Matthews set it on fire. Running out of the ring seemingly to find the House of Black, it did not appear that Cash or Dax were impressed by the aggressive move. So certainly this one's been taken to another level by the House of Black last night on Collision. Now, the latest development in the saga involving the Bloodline may have been revealed last Friday, or this past Friday on SmackDown rather, because now a filed trademark has seemingly confirmed it as well. On the December 15 episode of SmackDown, Roman Reigns made his return to WWE television for the first time since Crown Jewel, where he retained the undisputed WWE Universal Championship against LA Knight. On the show, Roman was accompanied by Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, the latter of which he dubbed the Tribal Heir on the show. In an update, it appears as though Tribal Heir will now be the official character and new nickname of Solo moving forward, as WWE filed to trademark the term on December 15. Roman, Jimmy, and Solo were fended off by Randy Orton, LA Knight, and a returning AJ Styles to close out the show. However, Styles did attack LA Knight, seemingly setting off a rivalry and match between them coming up in the near future. What are your thoughts on the Tribal Heir nickname? What do you think this will mean for Solo Sikoa? Is this maybe a hint or a nod that we're going to get a Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa feud in the future or something like that, possibly after WrestleMania? Which direction do you think this one is going in? We have some confirmed matches for AEW Dynamite and Collision this coming week as well. A number one contenders match for the AEW Women's Championship is set for Dynamite. Toni Storm was interviewed on Saturday's Collision, where Renee Paquette announced that Storm will face the winner of a match between Saraya and Riho on Wednesday at AEW World's End on December 30. Storm didn't have a preference on who she would face, saying she'll let them go at it. Roderick Strong will also be in action, taking on Commander. As Commander was being interviewed on Saturday, he was interrupted by Roderick Strong, saying Commander lost while he and Matt Taven are former television champions. He issued the challenge, with Commander saying he'd see Strong on Wednesday. MJF and Samoa Joe will also appear on Wednesday's show. It will be the first time MJF has appeared since being taken out backstage 2 weeks ago with a bottle to the back of the head, presumably by the Devil and his group that has stalked MJF and people associated with the AEW World Champion for the last several months as well. In addition to that, we're going to be getting several Continental Classic Gold League matches: Jon Moxley versus Jay White, Swerve Strickland versus Roosh, Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal, and as I mentioned, those matches that we just spoke about there as well. Finally, we've also got matches announced for AEW Collision next week, the Holiday Bash edition of AEW Collision, that is, and a Trios Championship match is set for next week's show. The Acclaimed made their return on this week's show after being laid out by the Masked Devils group on the November 8 edition of Dynamite. All three members of the group said they would go after those responsible. Top Flight and Action Andretti then came out and brought up that the Acclaimed had also issued an open challenge. They agreed to a match for next week's episode of Collision. Thunder Rosa, as I mentioned, will return to the action for the first time in over a year when she teams with Abaddon to take on Julia Hart and Sky Blue. After Abaddon won a match on Saturday's show, Hart appeared with the TBS Championship. Abaddon attacked Hart and took her title, but then Blue came out to attack Abaddon. Rosa, who was doing Spanish commentary, came out for the save. The last Continental Classic Blue League matches will also take place before the finals on December's 27th edition of Dynamite. Claudio Castagnoli will face Bryan Danielson, Brody King will take on Daniel Garcia, and Andrade El Idolo will face off against Eddie Kingston. So certainly several matches announced for both Collision and Dynamite next week. But there you go, guys. It's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.